Since you have lived so many years in Shasta, how does that feel like having that high vibrational energy constantly being with that energy? Is that like pain-free at all?
The intensity does not lessen from year to year. Usually at the end of every year, I will think, wow, that was such an intense year. Maybe next year you'll be smoother. No. Every year it gets more intense, and it is so important to continue to be vigilant and to be mindful. Otherwise, very quickly, you'll get driven out because whether or not it's conflict with others, well, your perception is conflict with others.
Welcome to the Heart Pods. The guest I have here today, the guardian of one of Mount Shasta's most magical space, the owner of the Heartlight. Welcome, Wayne Zhu. How are you today?
Very good, very good. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming onto the podcast. I've been to Mount Shasta several times, and I found that your store has most magical space, hosts most magical meditation of almost every morning. I have this honor and the pleasure to invite you to be on to the show. I bet a lot of people, if they went to Mount Shasta before, but they haven't talked to you before, I mean, like all of us, we want to know more about your journey in Mount Shasta. So may I know what's your life before Shasta?
I grew up in Southern California, and I do some exporting, but then that was my so-called my career choice. But of course, underlying that, it has always been following the heart's path.
Wow, that's amazing. May I know, like, do you know to follow your heart path ever since you were young?
I believe, I mean, it's expressed differently, but I believe in your heart, there's always a yearning. And of course, that yearning, yearning or the questions that you ask about your life. And yes, it changes, but underlying it, I mean, I believe it's always, there is a sense of searching for the meaning and what is it, I mean, what makes my life click, on what makes it run, and what brings me joy. So that question has always been there since I was young.
On my previous conversation with you, I knew that you came to Mount Shasta, but then at the time you didn't decide to open a crystal store. Would you like to share more on the journey of coming to Shasta and eventually decide to open a crystal store?
So having the calling, I mean, in my heart, I like to say, oh, they have the mountain call. But of course, in my heart, there is a voice. And similarly, as I woke up one morning, that's around 2014. I woke up one morning and there is a heart clarity saying, hey, come up to Mount Shasta ASAP. So then make a few phone calls. And in 2 days, and I was up here. And of course, this is in alignment with the multiple choices I made throughout the course of my life. There is a certain heart clarity, and quite often, if I analyze it too much with my brain, most likely I'll talk myself out of it because it just logically doesn't make sense. But then I know that it's important when the heart clarity is there to follow through because again and again. That's what in my own experience is what makes my life magical, so magical, and it's what brings the joy and the contentment, the fulfillment. Yeah, and so after moving up here about 11 years ago, I think through the first I mean that was 2014, and then it wasn't until 2019 winter solstice. Also woke up one morning. Actually, not one morning, winter solstice morning. And there is a voice in the heart, also quite clear, that Wayne, you guys need to put yourself out on mainstream Mount Shasta. Prior to that, we've been very low key, Sophie and I. And so we do a lot of the practice on our own, in our own space or wherever in the mountain in which we're called.
from you moved to Shasta is 2014 until like 5 years later you decided to open a store. What do you guys do during these 5 years?
I mean, in hindsight, I think I usually don't remember and don't hold on to that many things, but I know that being in Mount Shasta, it's very important to be mindful, to keep myself mindful of the day to day or the moment to moment. So it is being mindful of the thoughts, being mindful of the patterns, and then doing the inner work, so that it may appear very routine, but it's as simply as waking up each morning. It's as simply as taking care of your daily routines, cleaning the house, cleaning the garden, or going out for walks, going out for hikes. It is quite routine. And but then it is outside of that routine which the space, the energetic field that are held in Mount Shasta that allows me to experience myself based on the supporting environment. And then so it is a journey of we can call it for self mastery or remembrance, or is a journey of renewing our relationship with ourselves. So it's routine. So specifically, what did we do? I work from home. I mean, earlier I do exporting. So my partner or my brother actually runs the company in Southern California. But then on my part, I can do work remotely from Mount Shasta. But that takes a little bit of my time. Most of my effort is just working on my inner journey.
Wow, that sounds quite amazing. And would you like to share a little bit more on the process of working on your inner journey? Because I believe everyone has different practice.
Throughout the course of my life, I have many different teachers from many different traditions. And but of course, the one that brought me back onto this spiritual path was Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. But then throughout the course, I have Vedic teachers, Indian masters. There are some shamans from South America. There is also people within the U.S. Many teachers that came across, and then but then the journey inward. As I walk the path, it is staying mindful to our thoughts that arises, and as they arise, rather than being trapped in the pattern or being taken over by my emotions or whatever gets triggered, then through practice, through the willingness to come back to your center, staying grounded, and being willing to let go of those labels. And as you let go of those labels, sometimes it's difficult to let go of those labels, but it's okay. I mean, it's just having the awareness of say, okay, whatever triggers me, it's important that I look inward and not put the blame outside. So with that in mind, whenever I get triggered, when you are totally engaged in the now, those experiences are quite real. And so that's the effort to remind yourself, okay, what's my motivation? What's my intention? What am I what do I want to co-create in my life? So I'm mindful of that. And once I remind myself of my intentions, then it is easier to let go of whatever labels that came up as a result of being triggered. And then as I let go of those labels, I'm aware of my intention of what I wish to co-create in the now, then allow the experience to come through. So I experience the energetic signature, the frequency, as it is without my past labels. And then when I allow the experience to come through, to engage in the now, I'm actually able to co-create and rewrite my relationship with that particular frequency. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
It does in a higher level, but a lot of times we understand the concept, but when it comes to reality, it's harder to recognize, to be mindful of, oh, that is the situation that right now I need to be aware of, and how can I rewrite that frequency? Do you have any like real life example so that people could relate more?
I mean, this can literally, the real life examples can literally happens every day in your life. I mean, even in my work environment, as someone that comes in, I mean, we have different people that come in and that will make different comments. Some people come in with their so-called preconception, their notions about certain things. People coming in, for example, we have people coming in quite upset at us. When we first started, I believe back then we were the seventh. We were the seventh crystal store in town, and I remember in a couple instances, customers come in, and I mean they were visibly upset,
Over
and
what
they were
happened?
visibly. I say, "Well, what's your mentality? Why you open another crystal store? It's not like Mount Shasta doesn't have enough." I mean, they were very, very upset. And then, so, I mean, in that instance, can I experience them? Yes. Did I get triggered? Fortunately, I didn't, because when you live from the truth in your heart, you're center. So I stay center. Normal circumstances is someone that's angry that comes into our life, for most of us, we respond in kind, because as we have those trigger points within ourselves, then very quickly we respond in kind. So then, in most likelihood, I will be very defensive. But then, when that person approached me, then I say, "Well, I'm just living from the purity of the heart voice." And then immediately she responded, "Well, that's what I do too." So then she started walking around. As she walks around, she connected with the store, and also with the frequency of the store. And because of the frequency of the store, in my opinion, it's pure. It is co-created based on intention that all consciousness, all beings will be able to remember their divine presence. And so for her, as she spent time in the space, that aspect is also within her. So due to the resonating, the entrainment, then that aspect of her remembrance came out. So by the time she left, she was in tears. And she was so deeply moved that she said, from the sincerity of my heart, I wish you guys succeed. And but so that's one example of me not getting triggered and holding space. And of course, there are others in which, but it goes further back. I mean, it's more involved. Quite often, the most difficult encounters are the ones with our family, the ones that are closest to us. And then there are multiple instances with myself and my daughter, myself and my significant other. Sometimes we get into heated arguments, and then sometimes I feel my emotions came up. So basically, my patterns. And then rather than continuing to be engrossed in that, feeding each other's pattern, and continue to pour fuel into this already out of control so-called fire, then I will take a step back. But the key is having that awareness to take a step back.
Yes.
And then so I take a step back and I say, excuse me, I need some space. So I would walk away from that engagement. And then once I able to let go of those so-called emotional trigger points, and then come back to a space in which I'm experiencing the sensation without the so-called you're right, you're wrong, or I have anger. Then I usually I will come back, and first things I do is just apologize for getting angry, for getting emotional, and quite often it is acknowledging that it is okay that we have a difference in opinion. However, it doesn't serve anyone any benefit for me to respond from my emotion, from my past pattern, rather than response from the point of being in the now, in the purity of the space of the now, and responding in a similar, in resonance with the intentions. And the intentions for me has always been trying to co-create and engage in a space that will further enhances our remembrance and enhances our opportunities to walk the path of mastery.
Yeah, well, just from you sharing your example, you shared a little bit of your family incidents and all that personal experience of how to cultivate your self-awareness by letting others know that you need a space. It's I can just feel that really high frequency is coming through. And thank you for sharing that, having that awareness of us being back to that old pattern and to take a pause. It's so important. And to have that courageous to recognize that you have done or went into the old pattern and to apologize for that. It's not a lot of people can easily do that because it takes a lot. We all have our ego in our way. And how can we shed our ego and to be honest and transparent of who I am, accept who I am. Like human, we make mistake.
Yeah.
And it's not really about hiding it or shaming ourselves on the process of becoming, improving. It's really about embracing that, to recognize that, and just always come back to the center of our heart. Since you shared a little bit more on your crystal store, I heard that the way you built up your crystal store, wow, it's no wonder why that woman felt so touched in your space. Can you share a little bit more on like how you cultivate that store and how the crystal are in place?
I mean, the crystal store that it came together or as my calling to come up to Mount Shasta or the calling to start a crystal store. And I talk about for most of my life, once I started to engage conscientiously onto this path, this life's journey, my motivation, my intention has consistently, although it varies from time to time, but the basis of it is to be of service. That's the foundation. And then so keeping that in mind, then moving to Mount Shasta is a result of the intention that I've said, which is to be of service. And then similarly, when we receive the calling to start a crystal store, then undoubtedly we also recognize that's also part of our co-creation because of the intentions we set. Now there is a heart clarity voice to do that. And then so with that in mind, once we know that once 2019 winter solstice, so it took us a year to about a year before we got the key to our location. And it took us another 6 months to prepare the space. But during this process, we're mindful of our intention, which is honoring truth, honoring purity, being pure to the truth, honoring free will or the freedom to choose to live the truth. And then as we choose to live the truth and bring forth the truth in its purity, then naturally as we live it, this is I believe, the greatest offering that we can offer to be in service. And then naturally we harmonize the collective field. And so on that basis, any crystals that comes in, as we connect with many, many crystals, in our heart, we will ask permission on the basis, recognize on the basis of our intention of what we're wishing to co-create. Would you like to come to Mount Shasta, in particular to Heartlight, to join us in this collaboration? And when our heart gets a yes, then we invite those crystals back. And similarly, as they arrive into this space, into Heartlight, we will also then tune in to see where the crystal like to be. It likes to, even in what position, at what angle. So just tuning in. And then very naturally, as you have a crystal or a frequency that it holds, when it comes into this collaboration, into this space, with everything that's already here, then very naturally things gonna shift, things gonna expand, things gonna grow. But the basis is the parameter or the filter that's established is that you have to honor truth, purity, freedom, and harmony, and ultimately supports remembrance and self-mastery. And for that reason, because that's the intention, then every single detail supports that. So as anyone that has been called to walk into this space, very naturally, that's our common denominator. They're also the person that's been walking the truth of the heart. Those are the people that's been on this journey. And so that's naturally, that's how we connect. And very quickly, many of those people that are called to come, then what they do experience is an aspect of themselves.
Previous, you were mentioning about truth, purity, freedom, and harmony. Would you like to share a little bit more on that?
So this actually it was first shared with me from a very dear friend. For many years, we've been doing over the years we've been doing. She's a mentor, a teacher, a very close friend, and I remember several years ago she shared with us about the importance of these four, and then as I work with as I walk on this journey more and more, the those four words plays even a greater role in how I co-create. And truth, for me now, truth is the gift of the collective field that comes through each and every one of us. And the beautiful thing about that is it's unique to everyone. So there is only certain gifts, certain truth that can come through you. But the importance of that is whether or not we're able to be pure to that truth. Because quite often, especially as we grow older, our patterns are conditioning. Our patterns are so deeply ingrained that quite often we get an inspiration or a heart vision, and then quickly we talk ourselves out of it. So then we no longer be. So that in that instance, then we're no longer in purity to the truth. However, if we can stay pure to the truth, then the next step is having the free will, honoring the free will, the freedom to choose whether or not you want to live that truth. And once we choose with free will, not trying to have others talk ourselves out of it, not trying to talk ourselves out of it, not trying to manipulate others. Once we honor the free will, the freedom to choose and live the truth, for me, that's an expression of free love, of unconditional love. And then once we choose to live it, then that truth becomes part of the expression of the collective field. Then to me, that's the most amazing gift. It's, to me, those are the miracles that we get to experience. And then when we choose to live it, then we harmonize the collective field. It's a win-win-win for everyone. And so that's the truth, purity, freedom, harmony.
Yeah, I feel like that you shared with me before, and I resonate with that, and I'm trying to bring that into my daily practice and awareness. So I want to reiterate that in a more for my version of my wording that we just need to find our truth inside of ourselves. But once we found that, can we maintain the purity of viewing that, knowing that that is our truth? And once we maintain that purity of our truth, and then we can be able to freely choose and also allow others to choose, because others, they have their own truth as well. The reason behind of we are able to achieve harmony is because each one of us, we are living in our own truth with no conflict. And also in the meantime, we allow others to be themselves, to choose what they wish to do, to honor their own truth as well. And that is how we create harmony for each other in the world.
And the thing is, quite often people ask, but how do we know what that truth is? And how do we how can we hear that heart voice that is not my patterning? And actually, it's a very valid question. But the thing to understand is this so-called truth, it changes. It will continue to evolve. And the thing is to if needed, then remind yourself, what do you wish to create? What intention, what desires do you wish to co-create in your life? And that sets the parameter for how you create in the now. So whatever you're ready, whatever that comes up from based on the intention that's established in the now, then embrace that. Start with that. You may call it a baby step, but that's still a step in the direction on the basis of your intention. And as you journey, as you engage at that level, then your journey will go, your inward journey will go deeper. And most certainly, as you go walk deeper, the vastness, the profoundness of your experience will certainly expand, and the level of truth of your experience will certainly grow likewise, and it will certainly continue to evolve.
I feel like a lot of us, including me, like from time to time, especially when I was working on even younger myself, that I found out that I don't have a set version of the truth for myself. So I feel lost about the truth that I get. For instance, I would feel like, oh, this moment, this is my truth. But then like maybe a month later, I feel like, oh, no, that is not the truth that I feel like I am anymore. And I feel like that is just a process for me, probably just getting more embrace of at that time. That is my level of awareness. I'm just trying to do my best at the time. And with that compassion of myself and the others as well, I feel more of knowing that, okay, each time of when I'm deciding my truth, as long as it's centered and based on purity of that time, that is the best truth that I could get.
Exactly. That's perfect. I mean, it is so important that I mean, it's almost, I mean, once you set your intention, and as long as your intention is to me is noble, it is then we really have to have, like you said, have genuine compassion and love and gratitude for ourselves, and that there are no regrets, no judgments, and once we're able to truly embrace ourselves, then we're able to let go of our judgment of others. And it really truly all starts with embracing, coming into this divine relationship with our own divine presence. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. I also want to hear more about your crystal store. Do you have any most impressive story during your years of opening in Heartlight? Any impressive anything that you feel called to share right now?
There are probably quite a few. But what I'm most deeply moved and what I'm most grateful for is the people that's coming through Heartlight. People from all walks of life, people from all over the world. And because quite often as we walk on this path, this spiritual path, there are many times we feel quite alone, like we're not understood, like it is so fragile. But then when you meet all these people from all different backgrounds, and yet each one of them has so engaged, so diligently in bring forth their gifts. I mean, they're each and every one amazing stories, amazing bravery, the courage in which people walk, and to me, that's always the most moving, and I mean, most of them, many of them, they walk in fully knowing in their heart what they're looking for. In a sense, there's so much clarity, and very, very quickly, they all connect. If there are certain crystals in which that they're ready to collaborate and co-create, so many of them, they're so gifted that they recognize that right away, and then they connect, and those are all, or people. So many people come in and say, "Wow, this is." They started sharing their experience and pretty much offering their gratitude of having this space. But for us, it's merely a total reflection of the work that they've been doing for them to have such experience. And to me, for every person that walks in to have similar experiences, to me, that's it's daily miracles. Yes.
Yeah, I can just feel that you are there to just hold the space for people to come in, get to witness all that different people share their stories, share their learnings from their life. I feel like that is a true gift that you have that connection. Just like me, when I'm doing a podcast, I'm able to connect with people with different that perspective of theirs, get to know more, dive in more on their backgrounds and tears or anger, and overcome that. I feel so grateful of those kind of stories. But of course, among those stories, there are so many impressive ones. Do you have any impressive one that it's okay for you to share?
Well, what comes to mind is the multiple people that, like I mentioned earlier, a crystal takes a long time for a crystal to come together in its physical presence. Okay, and then for it to so meaning that the potential, the energy that it holds, have to go over a long time for it to come into its current expression. So as people that come in, I mean, we have an instance of we have a beautiful, beautiful crystal, beautiful one that was on our display case. It's certainly a master crystal, and there was a lady. I'm not sure how old, but she may be in her 70s, and then she traveled all the way across the U.S. In the car. Her first time in Mount Shasta, she was called to come, and then after she came, she's very, very. I mean, for me, she's certainly a master. And then she travels with her her so-called crystal grids, and so she does a lot of energy work along the way. I mean, she's pretty much follows her heart guidance. She's very clear, and she came in here. She connected with multiple crystals, but of course she connected with that one amazing crystal. And as she connected, she was deeply, deeply moved. And then of course she asked about the price, and I said, well, this is this. So she set it down because at that time I know price was an issue. So she ultimately she left the place, and then on that same day before we closed, she came back in again with her partner, and then she asked to connect with different crystals again, and then eventually her partner asked her, "Is this the one?" And she said, "No, no, no." "Is this the one?" "No, no, no." And then ultimately she comes back to the first one that she connected with. And then I say, well, you connect as much as you need. And then she was in tears as you connect with it. And then so eventually, in tears, then she came in and told me she's been waiting for this crystal consciousness to come through, and this crystal has been waiting for her. And she thanked me very for being the host, being the conduit for bringing this crystal in. And and then the following morning, before she left on her trip, I mean, I think before she left, she stopped by again. She said, last night we had a ceremony with a group of us, and then we went around in circles, each holding a crystal. And the crystal then offer each one of them a message personal to each individual. And then so that morning before she left, she just had to come back and offer her gratitude. And of course, before she part, she gifted another crystal. But I should go back on the story. On the day when she invited the crystal, that big crystal, she then asked me, she said, there's supposed to be another manifestation crystal that's supposed to go with it. And then because he's very sensitive, and then at that time I tuned in, I say, oh yeah. I said, here it is. So I brought something out. I brought 3 of them out. And I said, well, you tune in. And then eventually she found a little piece of crystal that's supposed to go with it. And then she rubbed 2 of them together. And then it was making I mean, she called it singing. I mean, it's making a sound that sounds like almost like a crystal ball sound. And she said, these are the very precious, certain crystals will make that sound. And that particular crystal is one of, but anyway, that's a level of clarity she operates at. And she said, you know, this crystal will continue to travel with her and then continue to work with her in her work. So that's one example. And we have another example of, but it's many people, another example of a youngster. Well, I call him youngster, but they're in their 30s, but I call him youngster. They came in, they're also asking, I believe there is something here that's waiting for me. So eventually, Sophie picked out a few, and then she resonated with one. And then that one, the energetic field that particular crystal's holding supports his remembrance. So very quickly he was in tears.
Oh.
He was bawling. He was really crying. And so that really, and that remembrance opened him up, such that that was back in several years ago. I remember shortly after that he went back to where he came from.
Wow.
Although not recommended for everyone, but he was heart clear, so he quit his job and moved to Mount Shasta.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh.
but it's all about remembrance, and then we have people coming through, people with different visions, and then they make changes to their own life, conscious choices. And when they're able to do that and have that clarity, then it's a gift. I mean, it's truly a gift for everyone, including their gift to us as well.
Wow, these stories are amazing and are just reminding all of us to actually like tuning with the crystal, and that is how crystal inspire us to have that remembrance in ourselves, and that's really powerful.
But that's why they're very precious, and that's why we honor them quite a bit. The way the respect and the gratitude that we have to be able to work with them, but also knowing that it is the individual that first have to have the intention to co-create, and once we establish that intention, then whether it's the crystals or any other tools can be of support. Because if we really don't know what we wanted to do or how to go about doing it, then yes, having the crystals around can still help to support, but the level of effect, the level of what you can co-create becomes very, very, very limited. So it still comes back to the individual.
Wow, that's amazing recommendation. For me, I have a lot of crystal in my bag, and I feel like a lot of people in audience, they are listening right now, they might be having a lot of crystal in their houses as well. Do you have any recommendation for all of us to you know, like when we tune into crystal, there are so many to tune into. How can we co-create with all of them? It's like a lot of friends, too many friends to to tune into. Do you have any recommendations on that?
On my part, usually, I mean, I'm very clear on what I wish to create, what my intentions are. And once I know of my intention, then at which time I just tune in. I say, well, which of the crystals or which of the things here wish to be in this space? And for me, at home, whether it's at home or here at Heartlight, then I tune in. Then once I tune in, I say, well, this is what I want to create. So which crystals would like to participate? So then there's a heart knowing.
Yes.
So then once I start picking the crystals from whatever collection that I have or you may have, and then place them and then tune in, place them on where they wish to be in this certain space based on the intentions that you set. And as you put them down, then let go of any thought. Just be with the experience. Even as you adjust the angle of the crystal, that energetic expression will shift. So as you tune in to every single piece, how it's placed, where it's placed, at what angle, then you're optimizing the expression based on the intention that you initially set. And then on that basis, certain crystals you may not get a hit that they wish to be here. So at which time you may want to then ask, well, where would you like to be? It may be somewhere else in the room. It may be in another room, or it may be supposed to go with someone else. But just set your intention and tune in. Then at that time, then everything, not just crystals, then everything in the space that you created are in total harmony and support to the intentions that you set. That to me, that's very important. Is establishing a so-called sacred space, or some people like to call it safe space, meaning that as you every time, no matter how tired you are or how clear you are, or whatever you're feeling, as long you know as that you can walk into that sacred space, the energetic field is held for you on the basis of your intention. So no matter what type of data you're going through, as long as you walk into that space, very naturally you're going to get nourished so that you can bring you back to your balance and center. So that's the space that in which day in and day out, I personally will spend time in that space so that I can continuously be reminded of the purpose of my work, the purpose of my journey, and then the level of mindfulness to engage, to be able to be aware when my pattern arise, and so that I'm able to let it go, come back to the now.
Do you tune into every crystal every day, or once you set intention, tuning once, and then that's it? Or
No, I don't. I certainly do not tune into every crystal every day. Once I tune in, I set them up, and once they're set up, when a certain crystal wish to be shift or moved or whatever, that I will pick up. The thoughts will come up, and as the thought come up, it takes time. I mean, over the years, I mean, quite often in the past, I remember the same thought will come up 3, 4, 5 times before I will act. But then more and more, because normally I do not have too many thoughts. But when they do come, usually I'm aware of it, and usually I just let it go. But then when it comes back again and again, then I say, okay, let me go ahead and take care of it. So once I may move a crystal, I may do certain things, I may interact with the crystal, and once that's done, those thoughts doesn't come back again. So that means I completed what needs to be done. So it is when things need to be engaged, needs to shift, then only that will trigger a thought you might feel, and then it is a matter of whether or not I recognize it and then live it.
Wow. Thank you for recommendation. I bet a lot of people they bought their crystal home. They were feeling weird in certain ways. They're not quite experienced as you guys do. And yeah, I definitely receive a lot of great advice from you.
And something else, actually, while we're on this, I want to mention, we also have quite often people ask us, well, how do we so-called cleanse our crystals?
Yeah.
And I know there's a saying, oh, you can put in salt water, you can let it get some moonlight or whatever. Of course, there are different ways out there that you can do to do your cleansing. But for me personally, it is experiencing the crystal in their wholeness, in their fullness. When we hold that energy field and we have that space of honor and respect and gratitude for the presence of an energy field that's held by crystal, the collection of crystals, then we are holding that field for their full expression. And to me, then no purification is needed because they're perfect. So to me, that's otherwise you look at the number of crystals we have.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I never thought of it this way. It's like embracing every aspect of ourselves. Can we do that the same with the crystal as well?
And then not only that, and when you also expand this, I mean, it's. I mean, it can be the same as we work with other people. Are we focus on our judgment of them, on their deficiencies, or are we experiencing them in their wholeness, and then having gratitude for their presence in our life, and then holding the feel, knowing that they're also divine. They're a divine being just like me. And as we experience the wholeness in them, then very naturally we're holding the feel for them to come into their divine presence. To me, it's the same approach as we engage the crystals, as we engage other people that comes to our life.
I resonate a lot with that, but also when I'm implement that in life, I found that there are some questions came up, and I'm not sure whether other people have the same. I feel like a lot of people might have the same questions, so I'm wanting to ask that since we're talking about it already. So we know that to embrace others as a divine self, but how do we distinguish between they are in their divine self and I'm also in my divine self, whether I move on or keep that engagement? Because a lot of people in spirituality will want us to get rid of that old stuff and all that. How do you do it in real life?
First of all, we still have to remember that as whenever we get triggered, the work that needs to be done is ourselves. Yes. That is so important. Okay. And then of course, as we do not want to judge others, we do not want to judge ourselves. Recognizing that it is okay for me to be upset. It is okay for me to have all these emotions. But do I want to work on it? Yes. Because because having those trigger points, having those patterns that no longer serves, yes, those we want to so-called let go, not get rid of. I mean, I do not believe we can truly get rid of, but I do believe that we can have a renewed relationship. We can let go of what we grasp onto, a belief system based on our past so-called unconscious agreements. So yes, those are the agreements that we want to let go. Those are the patterns that we want to let go. And once we're able to let go of those old agreements and patterns that no longer serve, then we allow a greater, a truer, a full, a more, a more wholesome expression of our divine presence. And then when it comes to whether or not, as other people are going through their ordeal, as sorting through their pattern, they may be upset at you or they may be whatever. It is on your part. We do the work on ourselves. And once we can let go of our own patterns, are detached from that emotions and able to approach this in the now consciously without the past patterns, then naturally, as the other people, they may be still upset, but by honoring them, you're not trying to please them. You're just trying to then tune into your heart, how you wish to act, not act, what you wish to say or not say. It's based on your heart guidance, not based on what you think you should do to please them, to make them not angry. If we do it solely based on pleasing them, then we're just feeding each other's pattern. Then we're not honoring in their divine. By honoring you in your divine, allowing the truth of your heart voice to come forth and choose to live based on that guidance, then you're truly honoring your divine. And as you honor your divine, you're not feeding their pattern. Then you're holding the space for them to be able to let go of their pattern. So then you're honoring their divine and you're embracing whatever they're going through, whether or not for most people perceiving it as negative. But even that, to go through that, for them to ultimately be able to come to that recognition and then surrendering those patterns or those judgments, then that is also an expression of their divine presence.
Wow, that's beautiful sharing, and thank you, Wayne, so much for clarity in coming to the real world example. I bet a lot of people, including myself, I do feel a sense of clarity came onto my mind. Thank you so much. I walked into your store before. I talked to your wife before, and I realized that a lot of people wanted to come to Mount Shasta. I'm so lucky that every time for me it's been a great journey and not a hard one. It's pretty smoothly going to Shasta, and I feel like every time I go there, I just feel like home. And I've been going there multiple times within short periods of time. I'm so grateful of that. And that is for my case. I heard from her that a lot of people, other people told me as well, it's not so easy for others to come through to even get there. So would you like to share a little bit of observation of how you observe people who go to Shasta? And is there anything that you feel most impressive they went through or they overcame and then they finally get to go to Shasta?
Okay, this is based on legends, okay?
Legends.
The legend says, well, I mean, if you do online search, people say, oh, Mount Shasta is the root chakra
Yeah,
of Earth. I mean, there's a many saying. I mean, if you go
there's
online,
many.
you'll search. And of course, Mount Shasta is volcanic. It's and so So the natural quality of being volcanic is that you cannot hold things in. You have to let it go. Things that no longer is compatible to your field. So that's to me, that's the characteristic of having a volcanic mountain and is holding that field. And then we also from the spiritual path perspective, quite often we say, well, how much we're able to expand is based on how grounded we are. So being a root chakra, I mean, you're going to be grounded here. And also being volcanic, you're going to have to let go of things that no longer serve. So being here in Mount Shasta on the basis of the energetically, the field that are held, when we come here, we have to let go. Otherwise, there will be tremendous resistance. And if we continue to resist very quickly, certain things have to give, whether or not at the emotional level, so much is coming out that you're going to have conflicts with everyone around you. Or at the physical level, when there's so much resistance, such that physically so much energy is trying to clear through or move through, but then we're resisting, so we're holding on, then very quickly you may manifest into physical symptoms, physical discomforts. So then to be called into Mount Shasta, I mean, there are different reasons, but of course, many people that come, quite often the story is the mountain call. And usually when you get a sense the mountain call, meaning that you've been doing your work and now you're ready to come into this space and in which such sacred energy is held for you to come to a renewed relationship with yourself and then embracing your divine presence. But then of course it starts with remembrance. It starts with letting go. And that's a sacredness of Mount Shasta. However, having said that, it can be quite a shock for many people as well, because there are many people coming here continuing also searching for things in the external. They want to experience the UFOs, the ETs, the so-called other dimensional beings. And then you grasp onto this type of experiences, and then quite often is you can easily lose track of the importance of keeping things simple, simplifying, of letting go of any grasping, any judgments, including those grasping to wanting to have any of those experiences, because ultimately it is the inner journey. That's what we're after. It is the inner remembrance that eventually so-called takes us home. And home, people say, we know that it's where the heart is. And that's, of course, our divine presence. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've been through that journey of maybe I'm still sometimes caught onto that journey, because the first time I decided wanting to come to Shasta, it's because I think as a cerebral being, I've always felt like I'm a starseed and all that, and that is how I began my first journey to Shasta. And after that, definitely there's a lot of things going inward that I have to look inward to myself. And every time I make the trip to Shasta, I experience different healings of my own, recognizing that, wow, so this time I'm having this lesson that I need to face on. Next time, oh, wow, there's like different stuff. So I feel so grateful of, I always call it Mother Shasta, hold that energy for me to be able to always come back and align to myself, a question to you too, because since you have lived so many years in Shasta, how does that feel like having that high vibrational energy constantly, like being with that energy, like that, like pain free at all, or you will have to face more and more shadow things every time it came up, since it's so much more sensitive in that level?
It does not, the intensity does not lessen from year to year. Usually at the end of every year, I will think, wow, that was such an intense year. Maybe next year you'll be smoother. No. Every year it gets more intense. And this intensity, it can be at all levels. And certainly physical is one of them as well. And that's why it is so important to continue to be vigilant and to be mindful, so that we're not overwhelmed by our own patterns, so we can continue to discover. Yeah. Otherwise, very quickly, I mean, it can. You'll get driven out because whether or not it's conflict with others, or whether or not it's your your perception as conflict with others, but it's always the your unwillingness to let go or to heal. Because when you talk about the ultimate healing, is always, for me, it's about remembrance and letting go and remembrance. That's ultimate healing. And being in Mount Shasta, that space is hell for remembrance. And thus, you can, if you wish to stay engaged and to continue this path, then it is so important to constantly come back to the now and be mindful of the practice of letting go, surrendering, mindful of the now.
Thank you. Yeah, the intensity. Wow,
It is very intense. Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of people, like including myself, sometimes I would wanna go to some sacred places for just to experience, right? Not knowing, wow, what kind of lesson are we facing here? We gotta be prepared to face the deepest side of ourselves. Yeah.
And the shadow aspect, we can never anticipate it. Just like, I mean, I can never anticipate what today will bring, what experiences will come. But the thing is still to be mindful, and then from moment to moment, and as it arises, then we can allow ourselves to have an experience, to enjoy the co-creation, and without totally engulfed by our past patterning.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I remember that I've been to your store several times, and went to your store has that sacred meditation at 11:11 in the morning. My English is my second language, so bear with me here. So may I know, like, what is that meditation? What's the essence of it, and why did you even start?
So that's we started it. It's also based on the natural calling. To say, okay, let's do 11:11 meditation before we open for business. So that's how, I mean, from the very first day we opened, that was offered, and it was subsequently people share with us. You know, the significance of 11:11 is that's when there is there is an opening of communication channel with the collective field. We didn't know that, but someone shared with us. I said, oh, okay, interesting. But of course, I mean, we just know that our heart knows that we will offer that. And of course, with our meditation, we set the same intention that it's the essence of the meditation is to enliven the memory of wholeness. So basically, it's remembrance, so that we can journey on our path of self-mastery. And then the foundation, of course, is honoring truth, purity, freedom, and harmony. And then our suggestion to people that are present, well, for people that wanted to join, what we suggest to them, make sure that you're heart guided to wanting to be here. And if you're heart guided to wanting to be here, just like us, we're heart guided to host this. So then that's our exchange. We both follow our heart. And so what we suggest to people that shows up during meditation, just to be with your experience. Any thoughts that arise, surrender it. Come back to the now and be with your experience. Because if a thought arises and we continue to dwell and grasp onto the thought, then it is our past patterning where we live in the experience, reliving our past agreements. But when we're willing to let it go, come back to the now, allow the energetic signatures in the now to be experienced without us holding on to saying that this energy is that. When we're able to surrender it, and based on the intentions that we set, truth, purity, freedom, and harmony, then we get to experience the energy as it is, while co-creating expanding reality, honoring truth, purity, freedom, and harmony. And then from that co-creation in the now, then we're able to let go of our past patternings.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
because it's a sacred space, and it's being sacred because there's all those crystals, all those different energetic vibrations that's holding the field to support this remembrance.
Yeah, I'm gonna to give you the space for people who wanted to come. You have this meditation during summer. It's like 5 times a week, and during winter, it's right now mostly 4 times a
Yes.
week. Usually, it's from Thursday to Sunday or to Monday. So for people wanting to go, just make sure you go on the right time and listen to your heart, whether you want to join, and just be in presence. Just drop anything that's ever came up. Just come back to the now and just be with the collective energy that is now here. Yeah, that's amazing. And do you have any last message for people who are desire to come to Shasta?
When the calling, when you have the calling, then just make it happen, live it, and letting go of all expectations, and being mindful of your intentions, and then just be open to possibilities as things unfold, and so that anything is possible. And it will be a magical journey, and quite often the magic of Mount Shasta, for many people, it starts after you leave Mount Shasta and go back home, and you realize, oh, I've changed.
Yeah, it's crazy journey. I feel like it's even started the moment I decide to go to Shasta. The journey has started for me, and after that, it's not ending, and I can feel the presence of the mountain's energy, and I feel so what a grateful things to experience that in life. And for people who are, because a lot of people community, especially in my channel, I used to share a lot of Mount Shasta's journey from when I was looking for the external easy things. And then a lot of people are resonating with that. But then when I come to the space and just realizing that the importance of going back to myself, and that a space that's truth in my heart, this is the most sacred answer that I can get for myself, and just drop all that expectation. So yeah, thank you, Wayne, for the sharing. So I will put your store's location and website down below in my description. Do you have any last message if anyone wants to go into your store? Do you have any current news or anything?
Well, for those that wants to join the meditation, I just want to say, please arrive before 11:07. That's when we close the door. And otherwise, when your heart calls, live it, and we're grateful for you, for the people that are guided to come, and then those people that live it, and because it is all about each and every one of you living your heart's calling, in which making it possible for me, for us, for our team here at Heartlight to live ours. So we thank you.
I have several ending questions for the guests. So if you can help me to tune into the collective that might be listening to our podcast in the future or anytime replay, what's the message that you would like to give to them?
Message for
the collective, the collective of who may be listening to our podcast, who are drawn to our podcast to listen to our conversation and listen till the end.
Well, I think the essence is heart pot, just like the name you have. Beautiful, beautiful name. It is, the essence is that. That recognizing that we are all divine, and that that you're divine, I'm divine, and that we're all part of this collective unity field, the heart pot. And just living from that space, expression from that space, and then just truly experiencing the magic moment to moment, and beautiful, beautiful heart pot. I mean, it's yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Thank you, Wayne, so much.
Thank you.
And if you can maybe go back in time to your younger self right now, what would you like to say to your younger self?
You are perfect as you are.
Oh.
You are perfect as you are. And one thing, as I walk along the path, there is a stage in my life in which actually it was doing Shavasana yoga.
Oh.
You know, at the very last few minutes you lay there.
Yeah.
And it was back in around 2010. As I lay there, then my whole life flashed.
Oh.
And I realized the person that's most cruel, most judgmental to me was me. And that's when you realize, well, no matter how many things I've done to self-sabotage, and yet again and again, divine grace was offered. And again, I'm offered opportunities, beautiful, sacred opportunities for continue this precious path with all the supporting conditions. And yet, again and again, it was the ego that continued to sabotage. that continue to judge. And so that if I go back to my younger self, that's what I would tell myself. Hey, relax. Just enjoy, embrace, and engage, and enjoy the journey. Of course, during the earlier time, as we start to learn, and there are spiritual texts out there that talks about this, about you should do this, you shouldn't do this, or whatever. Then you have something to judge yourself. But of course, you also have to go through that phase before you come to the realization that no, I mean,
You are
yeah,
perfect.
yes.
Yes. Wow. And last but not least, since we're the heart part, and what is the one thing your personal suggestion that suggests anyone can create a mind and heart coherence?
Start off like what we mentioned earlier. Create a sacred space for yourself. Make time for yourself to be in that space. Remind yourself of your intentions. Letting go of those thoughts, even including your intentions, and just allow yourself to be. And once you establish that day in and day out, then it gets it will take you into your daily activity, so that more and more there will be more and more moment in which we can engage consciously. So it is first giving yourself that space, that sacredness, that sacred space to be nourished. To me, that will be a very important foundation to establish.
Thank you for offering your advice to everyone. And thank you, Wayne, so much for both English and Chinese collaboration. I'm so grateful for having this opportunity to talk with you hours long and receiving I feel like your message is not only just message or just knowledge or wisdom. It's more than that. It's the energy underneath the words you said, and I can just feel the vibration of that coming through. It's wow, it's so nourishing, so refreshing. So thank you, Wayne, so much.
Thank you so much, Fiona. It's certainly an honor, and I'm deeply grateful for you to bring forth your gift and offer such amazing service to others. And so thank you.
Thank you.